I moved it both into the media and appropriate OBS registry, so you can use it either way. And I did, and I cut off the first 30 seconds because it said that's supposed to happen. So hopefully it's what they want.
It doesn't sound like they're using them anymore. It sounds like they're using.
I use it after all. That's it. Okay.
Unless you need it for streaming, but she's pretty loud, except that we're gonna put the guitar on.
Yeah, let's see. That's a good question.
It's pretty loud. Oh, but with people in here, maybe we better mic her.
Yeah, we could probably run
Keep moving
those.
the media box monitors over to the right so they interfere with the microphone. So I think I may need to get some little brackets and screw those to the floor.
Lucia, do you want a mic stand?
What do you think?
I'll just have it here. You don't have to be close.
I'm thinking about putting some brackets down to stop people moving.
A little better.
No, I think we need to be
over
able
where the microphone is.
Well, we need to be able to move it because they need to be able to see it and it needs to be closer than we need to be able to move it.
Right.
But I see what you mean, yeah.
Right, at the base, like here, because people keep moving it over and crowding the microphone.
Yes, but we would need to be able to
We just, you know
move
what,
the
we
base
are
closer if we don't see it.
Interesting.
We haven't needed it yet.
All right. Maybe we can just, I don't know who's moving it, but if we could tell them not to, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
We're not gonna mic her.
But we don't need to use this. I don't think it's a lot of work either, just. And I'm working on updating the instructions because I think there's a few details we missed. And I suppose I should. Put these in the door, on the door. They're going to be for weddings. Or so some Bobby uses, we don't really have to deal with them. Actually, hold up. There. We got two of each. We only need one out here. Having one of each in the basement would be nice. Because they're going to be the same thing, which is, right? Next phones that don't have apparently that's the thing now. Just these down at the basement.
Anyway, is you?
Good morning. Welcome to worship with the community of First Unitarian Church of Omaha. I'm Reverend Shari Woodbury, the church's minister. Whether you're here online or in person, I'm glad you have chosen to join us this morning for worship. Worship, which means to remember that which is of worth. And so we gather in community each week to reground ourselves in our highest values. A special welcome to visitors. This congregation is a community of all ages and abilities. It is a community with a rainbow of gender and sexual identities. It is a community of diverse cultural and class backgrounds. We draw from many sources of inspiration and share common liberal religious values. Whoever you may be, we invite you to bring your whole self into this space. A special shout out to those joining us this morning from the UU congregation in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. Hello there in Wisconsin. And online viewers from anywhere who are signed into a YouTube account will be able to participate in the comments, such as for joys and concerns and more. All are also welcome to subscribe to our YouTube channel and share videos you like with others. For those joining in person, after the service, you're welcome to go downstairs to the common room in the basement for coffee and conversation. Looking further ahead, all church members are encouraged to save the date for a special congregational meeting on Sunday, September 10th, after the regular church service. There's a handout in the church foyer in the common room with more information. It's got something about nominations on one side and a special congregational meeting on the other. Also, a snail mail letter was sent to all church members on August 17th. The agenda for this special meeting includes info on our fall stewardship campaign and voting items related to our articles of incorporation and a plan to repair the church steeple, including funding. Please join us September 10th for this important meeting. To learn what else is going on around First Unitarian, including activities you might want to take part in, please use the QR code or links in your program or grab a printed e-news in the foyer. Our church occupies the traditional treaty lands of the Omaha and Otoe-Missouri tribal nations whose sovereignty existed long before the state of Nebraska. We'd also like to express our respect to the Ponca tribe, the Winnebago tribe, and the Santee Sioux tribes of Nebraska, and all the others represented in the Omaha area. At First Unitarian, we invite all to join us to go beyond acknowledgments by educating ourselves and supporting causes, charities, and rights of Indigenous peoples in our area. And now, welcome back, special guest Rocio, who joins our music director, Judy, with a special selection.
Primavera.
I invite forward Vanessa Timberlake and Dick Fleeby to light the flaming chalice. I invite you to join me in the chalice lighting words as you are moved. Spark of the Spirit, cupped in earth's embrace, light of love, alive in all creation, as we kindle this flame, we rekindle our connection to the sacred web of life. I'd like to invite the congregation to participate in this call to worship. After each line I deliver, those on this side, the low pulpit side, can respond with a line in regular font on your order of service, come in. And those on the piano side can respond with a line in italicized font, be among us. And I'll give you a gesture like so. So let's practice that. So I'm speaking. You're good, okay. To all who are yearning for community. To all who are just getting started. To all who long to go deeper. To all with tender places needing care. To the ones who have healed and have care to give. For those who are curious and hungry to learn. For those who know that they have something to teach. For the ones who are just beginning to suspect they might nurture others becoming. To the young and the old, the innocent and the jaded, the fresh of mind and the deeply steeped. There is room here for each and every one. I invite you to rise if that feels good to you and join in singing number 360, We Have Gathered Here.
Oh
And the children are on their way to join us for a time for all ages. And I think it involves bags and backpacks for all ages too. So perhaps some of you brought bags. I'm going to go get mine.
Hello? Am I live?
That's okay. Just wait for me.
All right, today is our annual backpack blessing, and you might remember this from last year because this is one of our annual rituals that we've started doing. Adults were also invited to bring bags, work bags, gym bags, diaper bags, whatever gets you through the day. And I guess we have kind of a lot of call and response in the service today, so there'll be a little bit of that. All right, are we ready? Do you have your backpack on or in your arms, or you're just thinking about what it feels like when you wear it? It's okay. It still counts, even if your bag is just here in spirit. So as we come together into our blessing ritual, I'd like you to hold your backpack in your lap or your hands, or maybe just in your thoughts. And of course, by backpack, I mean your backpack, gym bag, dance bag, lunchbox, diaper bag, briefcase, purse, knitting bag, cell phone, or keychain with its keys to transportation and shelter. Awesome, you meet several categories there. This ritual is not just for those who carry backpacks, but for each and every one of us. And I would like to thank a few people in our larger community who helped me with this, Kathy Smith, Ashley Fusen, and Reverend Neil Newton. All right, congregation, we have some words that you're going to say to our children and youth today. Please say after me these words of affirmation and blessing. Bless you. May these containers be useful as you start the new year. May your homework always be finished on time. May your permission notes always be signed the night before. May your textbooks not fall into a mud puddle. May your favorite pencil or pen always be easy to find. When you don't understand, may you have the courage to ask questions. And finally, may you always know that we love you. It does, though, because we bless our backpacks because we're taking the love of this whole community with us everywhere we go. Okay, now I have some words for the students. You don't have to repeat all of these after me, but just listen, and if you agree with everything I say, you can say "we will" at the end. Okay, to our adults, even when you are away from First Unitarian, you carry our love and support wherever you go. May you feel curiosity all your days. May your imagination catch fire. May you find courage when you need it. May you be kind and caring to those around you and they towards you. May you feel heard and seen, and may you hear and see others, and may you make space and time for those who struggle to be heard and seen. As your spiritual family, we are made stronger when you share what you learn. We ask you to bring what you learn of the world back to this place. So if you would like to help me bless the adults' bags and supplies, say, "We will." Any more we wills?
Say we will.
We will.
Thank you. All right, when we leave today, having blessed our backpacks or other things that carry the everydayness of our lives in them, we might think we are going out there on our own to school or work or wherever we're heading, but we're not. One of the blessings of being part of a church community is that we are reminded that we are not alone. We are reminded that we are connected to so many people and we are surrounded by love wherever we go. Thank you. We're going to sing the children to their classes.
Each week, we share our blessings with others through the community offering. Half of the loose currency in the offering plate, or the otherwise undesignated funds that you share, goes to a local cause which resonates with you values. If you're online or prefer to give with your smartphone, you can use the QR code or link provided. Our Share the Plate recipient for August is the Whitney Young Academy, which empowers youth through education and career preparation, through academic, personal, and social development, assisting with goal setting and grooming future leaders. You can learn more online at the Urban League of Nebraska's website. Whitney Young, by the way, was both a member of this congregation and the director of that organization. The offering is gratefully received along with another gift of music. Thank you. When we share our joys are multiplied. And when we share our challenges, the community can offer its support. I have one here to share, and I know Colin has several others. Diane Witham shares, I am pleased to have had both of my children with me while I was in the hospital. She was there for several days and released back home last Monday. Diane says, I am thankful for all of the well wishes from church friends, and I'm thankful for the doctor who caught my condition. So we continue to send healing wishes and care to Diane Witham, who is doing well at home now. Colin?
We have several today. From Sarah Copeland, thoughts of comfort for the family of Ramiah Worthington, the little girl who tragically lost her life in Omaha this week. From Patricia Pyatt, a few months ago I was talking to a longtime member about how much coming to this church meant to me. They said they thought maybe they had been taking the church for granted and was happy to see it through my eyes, and thanked me for sharing my feelings. I have been coming for about a year and have been a member since December. My life is so much happier than I have ever been. From day one until present, I have felt such gratitude for the goodness within the people here, for the love that makes Reverend Shari glow. You're glowing, right? To the warmth of the welcoming smiles of fellow members, and to the yummy treats after service. Yay. I just want to thank you all for making this church my happy place. I've said in the past that although we may have our disagreements at times, that people coming here come with the intention to make the world around us a better place. I'm so proud to be a member. And from Terry Lynn, thank you to Patricia Pyatt for the craft supplies for the Sunday school kids. And thank you to the kids for the art pieces on the windowsill celebrating our diversity. From Anonymous, somebody doesn't want to be. We got Joy here saying, I'm happy to be another year older today. Happy birthday to that person. And a concern for Florida with the impending storm and recent racial shootings. And one more here from Christina Strong, a joy and a concern, a joy that Bethany and Ryan Cook and Raven have found a new place to live. They will need help moving all day this Thursday, August 31st. Please reach out to Bethany or Ryan if you want help. And nothing online.
Teachers as we guide students in the new year, and especially shout out to Bethany. It's her first year of teaching. She needs a lot of support.
Yes, hear, hear. Love and support to all of the teachers out there beginning a new year, including new ones like the aforementioned Bethany Cook of our congregation. And if you haven't already, if the items on the windowsill didn't catch your eye, you can take a look after the service. Our kids created those over the summer in Sunday school as a representation of the diversity of the congregation. So a little color for us all. We draw into the circle of this community's care, all who know both joy and challenges. Our centering song this morning is in the Teal hymnal, number 1034. It's called De Noche. And this will give us a chance to learn or remember a beautiful song that's in Spanish. We're going to listen to Rocio sing the Spanish for us the first time, and then we'll join in singing the Spanish 2 more times and finish with the English. this music, I invite you to check your posture, feel your breathing, and rest your eyes if you find that soothing. I'll begin with a pastoral reflection before we share a time of silence for your own inward prayer or meditation. I'll end the period of silence with the sound of the bell. Living water. Living water. Take a moment to notice if you come to this gathered community with a particular thirst that you can identify. Perhaps a thirst for connection with others, the kind of connections that were once built into communal life for most humans, but which take more effort to nurture in our day and time. Or could it be that you thirst for stretching yourself, your understanding of the world, being able to see through the eyes of people whose life experiences are different than your own? Maybe what would quench you is a sense of purpose, or a set of beliefs and practices that will support you through good times and bad, helping to make sense of life. What is the living water you need? Spirit of life, in the dark times of our lives, when our need for living water, any of these spiritual waters, becomes as tangible and elemental to us as the need for H2O, may we find the springs that can slake our thirst. And may we remember to continue drinking from such waters, waters of learning, community, inspiration, and connection to spiritual source, whatever we understand that to be. May we continue to drink from such waters, even when the need is not so dire. Spirit of love and learning, let us remember also to pass it on. For when we share these gifts with one another, we are all enriched. So may it be. Amen. A time for your own silent prayer or reflection.
Good morning. I'm Christina Strong, Lifespan Director of Religious Education here at First Unitarian. And I'm very happy for this opportunity to talk to adults today. I'm also involved with adult RE, but my weekly work generally involves children and youth, so I'm happy for this chance to speak with you. For our beginning of the RE academic year service today, I decided to bring for you all a few pieces from our youth volunteer training that we did with our YRUU advisors last year. And there's 3 reasons for that. One of them is because I feel like a lot of these community building concepts and processes apply to all ages, right? So younger than our YRUU youth up through adulthood with some different developmental differences, but many similar aspects. Another reason is because each of you, your interactions with our children and youth in this community matter just as much as anything else that we buy a curriculum for and try to teach them, and Shari will talk more about that later. And thirdly, because it's every director of religious education's dream to have 50 plus members of the congregation participate in a youth volunteer training. So if any of you would like to put your youth volunteer training to work after this worship service, I invite you to contact me by email if you'd like to learn more about being a Wednesday night youth group YRUU advisor, or to get more training to teach OWL, or to get more training about spirit play, which I actually just went to a training for in Illinois yesterday, which is sort of a Montessori-inspired curriculum for our UU preschool and elementary age. So contact me if you would like to learn about those. But for now, here are some pieces of our youth volunteer training. Could I get maybe another volunteer to join Shari in holding a map for me? Thank you. Okay, and if you just want to sort of gesture to areas as I name them, that would be wonderful. All right, and so this wonderful graphic and this metaphor and concept and most of what I'm about to read to you comes from Shannon Harper and Jenica Davis-Hockett, who are youth ministry specialists and emerging adult specialists for the UUA. And so Shannon Harper created this map and this metaphor. This is a new model of youth community building, even since I started in 2019. And the model that was there before sort of looked more like a stair step or linear. And the reason that this community building map is such an important part to share with you is because that's really the foundations of youth ministry, is building community. This isn't school, this isn't work, this is a place where youth are coming because they want to engage with each other and want to go deeper with each other. So they moved it into a map form instead of a linear form because these are things that we visit throughout our time together, sometimes all in one day and sometimes over the course of a year or multiple years together. They're just places that we move around on the map, and while there's not necessarily a linear way, just like with a map, there are places where you sometimes aim to start. So, starting at the beach of opening up, where we get to know each other and start sharing in a kind of low-risk way. And then as we move down that beach of opening up, we might find ourselves in the bonding harbor. There may be some inlets or some ways into deeper community, but we're still kind of in the initial phases of getting to know one another and really forming an understanding of our similarities with each other. And then they always encourage visiting places like Stretching River. Stretching is a time when the group goes through something together, and it can be something planned, like a service trip or a youth experience, or it can be something that's not planned, like if youth help, when our youth helped create a video for our new minister search. And so one example of this in our own congregation is from First Unitarian, we had 12 of our youth participate in our middle school OWL training last spring. And that's a very intense curriculum that we condensed down into half of an academic year. It's actually designed for weekly for an academic year, so quite a few sessions. And that sort of arduous process was very bonding for them, right? So that was one of our stretching rivers, where our youth were here for some education that was important to their parents, right? And it gave them the opportunity to bond together. Oh, sorry, if anyone's unfamiliar with OWL, that's Our Whole Lives. It's our sexuality curriculum that goes from, with age-appropriate programs from kindergarten through older adult. Okay, so together, the youth is part of the process and part of that transition on the stretching river, and it's something they can say they've accomplished together, that they helped each other through. And on the other side of it, they are different people or a different group. And this also applies to our youth volunteers, right? We stretch together, and it's really rewarding. Okay, and we definitely encourage moving towards Stretching River, because if you try to stay in Bonding Harbor, you may end up in the Tepid Bay. Very large area there, which is where it's like a nice group that I could take or leave, or it doesn't feel really important to me, or I don't think I'm really important to the group. And so it's a take it or leave it kind of thing, where I'm warm and comfortable, but not necessarily exploring all of the island. The Forest of Affirmation is very important, because that's where, after we do the stretching and the hard things, after we do more sharing, we want to make sure that we're affirming each other and affirming the group. And so it's a kind of positivity point of reference on the map, and a time for everyone to be acknowledged for who they are and for what they bring to the group. So we visit the Forest of Affirmation quite frequently. And why are we in community in the first place? One of the reasons is because we want to be able to heal together, to practice healing in ways that feel life-affirming, and in ways that we might not be able to find in other parts of society and in our dominant culture. In our community, there's always time for pausing and taking time to heal together. We always have time to rest by the healing springs. We come together in spiritual community because, as Reverend Barbara Meyer says, we cannot heal in isolation. We heal together, and we support each other's healing through ritual, through spiritual practice. This may look like deep reflection and creative expression in a circle worship, or maybe really feeling heard in a ritual of sharing joys and concerns. And a spiritual practice is something that's done with intention and attention that brings you back to yourself and connects you with something larger. And then you'll notice on our map that we have something called the Covenant Lighthouse. And we really believe that communities should be based on the principles of a covenant. Each of our classes and our youth group create a covenant at the beginning of each year. And they decided to make this a lighthouse because it's really something that should be visible anywhere we are on the map. It's a beacon of light, something to look for when we do get a little lost, when we do feel we're not jiving as a group, if someone missteps. We want to look for that covenant lighthouse and the beacon of light, and always go back to our covenant and see how we can mend relationships and grow together. I always emphasize to our youth that our covenant is not just for creating, it's for revisiting when harm has been done, so we can go together to those healing springs. One of the things that the Covenant Lighthouse is shining on is those cliffs of exclusivity. There are some exclusions of behaviors that are important in the kinds of community that we're building. Exclusions of harmful behavior like racism and sexism and homophobia and transphobia allow for more space for the values that we do want to bring into the community. And then there's the other side of the cliffs of exclusivity, which is where we want to make sure that everyone has a sense of belonging and is included as part of the group. Inclusion for all those who are excited about living in the values of our community. And this often builds towards deeper sharing. The canyons of deeper sharing are not something that you start off with when you're searching through your map. It's something that you get to after going to many of these other places. And this is where we're able to open up. We're able to really share harder things about ourselves and explore our own formation, our own identities, and our own beliefs, and try them out with each other. We call them canyons because sometimes it can feel like you can get a little lost in those, but it's always important to travel back out, always go back to the affirmation forest after deep sharing, and move around the map and not just staying in the canyons of deeper sharing. One of the creators of this metaphor, Janika Davis Hockett, is a canyonarian by hobby, and says that this is also a great metaphor for deeper sharing, because you don't go into a canyon unprepared, you don't go into a canyon without your buddy and without a plan and without a light. And so having those things in place allow for deeper exploration and greater adventure together. So you can see that they love a good metaphor, and it's a great visual for us. We'll hang it somewhere where we can remember. And they also noted that there is a place for a lot of other things on the map. So if anyone has any ideas, we'll be asking our youth about that too, of things that we can add to our map here, and keep this as a reminder for the kind of community that we want to build together, and the different phases that we want to be able to engage with together. Next, I would like to invite Jessie Stallings to speak, and I'm going to pass out a handout. I'm just going to split it in half, and if you could just pass it around.
All right, thank you, Christina. I am Jessie Stallings. I'm a CurricUUlum advisor, a teacher, and a therapist. I'm going to talk to you about neurodivergence and neurodiversity this morning, and give some personal and professional context for those things. And the handout that Christina is giving out is one that we use in CurricUUlum advisor training. So neurodivergent describes people whose brain differences affect how their brains work. That means they have different strengths and challenges from people whose brains don't have those variations. People most frequently identify autism and ADHD with neurodivergence, but really anything that affects brain functioning can be in there. So epilepsy, brain injury, anxiety, depression, a variety of other things may fall under that umbrella. Neurodiversity advocates emphasize that the ways people with these differences interact with the world aren't wrong, it's just different. I've spent much of my life and career working with and caring for neurodivergent folks. In the 1980s, my parents were told that my brother's brain was just wired differently, but that he figured things out. With support, he completed his education through a master's degree, and he now job coaches other neurodivergent folks. As an adult, I have worked with kids with diagnoses such as ADHD, anxiety, autism, depression, and many others. I literally wrote the book on providing neurodiversity positive art therapy with autistic folks. It took decades and all of this for me to step back and acknowledge my own neurodivergence. I have worked my whole life to compensate and have sought treatment and help. Still, I'm amazingly disorganized despite continual efforts to do better. I have challenges maintaining focus. I never finish reading books except for anything Hunger Games. I absent-mindedly lose my keys and work badge multiple times a week, just ask my husband. I anxiously postpone completing big tasks until they're almost due, just ask my doctoral advisor. I am better able to focus if I'm able to fidget, doodle, or engage in stimming, such as shaking my leg or rubbing my fingers together. But I also have incredible strengths. Generally, I am great in a crisis situation, maybe because my anxiety has me always planning for them. I am creative, I am empathetic, I am a great child therapist to kids who many write off as too aggressive or broken. I love to learn and have 3 advanced degrees. I specialize in special interests, which are intense areas of focus for neurodivergent folks such as video games or anime in therapy. Ironically, one of my special interests is the special interests of others. Without community, I would not function. My husband, family, friends, and coworkers work with me to help me maintain and thrive. I'm sure Ben can tell you plenty of stories. My own experiences have led me to a career as an art therapist and counselor and volunteer work, including here at First Unitarian. In CurricUUlum, I have helped the other advisors learn how to provide a more inclusive environment for our youth with better opportunities for learning and collaboration. I've been asked to provide some tips to help us make the rest of the church more inclusive and encourage you all to work with us with the youth. And accommodating as well. First, I'll back up a moment and explain some reactions you might have seen before. Neurodivergent folks may have challenges with feeling over or understimulated. Overstimulation can occur in situations where multiple things are happening at once. Understimulation might occur in settings where there is only one sensory input, like a lecture or a presentation, or listening to me talk right now. And folks may then seek additional stimulation. I know I can't focus without doodling, or you'll often find me hand sewing small projects during the service. Reading social cues may also be a challenge, like when it's someone's turn to speak. For example, I sometimes struggle not to interrupt others, not because I can't wait to speak or I'm not listening, but because I have a hard time determining appropriate breaks in conversation, despite 3 advanced degrees. Special interests or fixations may also make some social interactions challenging, because let's face it, sometimes superheroes are exciting and you can't help but talk about them even when others aren't interested, or maybe that's just me. Hyperactivity is also often a challenge, but we have all known small children at some point in our lives, so you know how that goes. Finally, meltdowns are a common challenge. Though it may seem like someone is throwing a tantrum to get their way or avoid situations, they may instead be overstimulated or exhausted from trying to meet people's expectations. When I'm extremely anxious, I may try to micromanage the situation I am in or get angry about something unimportant. Our society has long put the burden on neurodivergent individuals to fix the situations where they struggle by masking their neurodivergent quirks and pretending to act like neurotypical folks. So how can we help those in our congregation and our lives who are neurodivergent? How can we meet them in the middle instead of expecting them to come all the way to the typical side of the human spectrum? We can have a predictable structure to our gatherings and give advance notice when changes will occur. This provides comfort to those who need routine. We can provide sensory adaptations, for instance, having a quiet space where folks can sit with fewer people around them, or providing earplugs or muffs to muffle loud sounds. If we know someone dislikes a certain sensation, for instance, the feel of flowers in flower communion, we can provide gloves to help them continue to participate. We can welcome stimming, as it often helps folks focus. Now, that doesn't mean we can't put some limits on it, such as providing fidgets if another stimming behavior is distracting for others. But these accommodations should be done in collaboration with those who need them rather than unilaterally enforced. My sewing is generally less disruptive to others than shaking the entire pew with my leg. We can be specific and explicit about instructions and directions, as abstract language can also be a challenge for folks who are neurodivergent. We can integrate physical aspects into our gatherings, such as starting with stretching. Physical feedback can help reduce over and under stimulation and stimming. We can provide extra time for processing requests and instructions and answering questions, since slow processing can be another challenge. We can take time to learn about others' special interests and find ways to connect to the subject at hand, like which superhero best defines the 7th principle. Finally, we can use multimodal engagement by integrating videos, music, games, or physical activities, singing, have a discussion, or act out a topic to keep interest of those of us who have difficulty focusing. The youth, myself, and other neurodivergent folks in the congregation will thank you for your willingness to meet us in the middle, and our community will be richer for it. Thank you.
Everything we do is faith formation. Everything we teach is Unitarian Universalism. The congregation is the curriculum. So writes Connie Goodbread, longtime religious educator and leader in Unitarian Universalism. I believe she is right. And this means that all of us who participate in this community are both learners and teachers every time we take part in the life of the congregation. I'd like to share with you wisdom from two sources that I have found powerful for understanding how education works in a church like this one. The first comes from Angus MacLean, one of the giants of religious education in Unitarian Universalism, on the Universalist side, actually. MacLean's philosophy can be summarized in just 5 words. The method is the message. In other words, the way we teach itself communicates the heart of the faith. It tells us who we are. In a UU church, we practice democracy throughout congregational life. That's the way we teach. With congregational meetings like the one I mentioned earlier, where members vote on important matters. With elected leaders like the Board of Trustees and your minister called by the congregation, fulfilling our roles on behalf of the church. And meanwhile, in our classrooms, we explore ideas, we share stories, we welcome questions. There's a democratic culture that flourishes here. Democracy is the method and the message. You could also say that love is the method and the message. I certainly preach it from this pulpit on a regular basis, and love shows up in our Sunday school lessons and the official curricula too. But what really brings the message home is the way people in this community care for one another in times of both joy and difficulty. Showing up with baby shower gifts and casseroles and hugs for the bereaved. Love is the method and the message. Covenantal relationship is the method and the message. Our children and youth create covenants in their classrooms at this time of year each year, describing how they will be together, what they commit, and how they'll be together. And the church has a covenant of right relations that was adopted, democratically, of course, by the whole congregation. You give voice to it with every new member ceremony, a sort of renewal of vows. What makes these covenants real is how we live into those beautiful words when there is tension or misunderstanding among some of us. When we choose direct communication to address a concern, even though that can be uncomfortable, for example. The method is the message. The other insightful teaching about learning in churches that has come back to me over and over since my training in the topic comes from Elliot Eisner, who was an art professor. Eisner's model of 3 types of curricula applies equally well in religious education as in K-12 schools and universities. Eisner described these 3 types of curricula: the explicit curricula, the implicit curriculum, and the null curriculum. Have you heard this before? I'm looking out. I'm not even saying, okay, a few educators are nodding their heads, yes. The explicit curriculum is what is intentionally presented to be learned. So it's usually stated clearly in words or images. For congregations, this could include particular programs we provide to teachers and facilitators of lifespan religious education programs. It includes things like the 7 principles and the 6 sources that help newcomers understand who we are, and the aforementioned congregational covenant that expresses behavioral intentions. That's the explicit curriculum. That's the obvious stuff. Then there's the implicit curriculum. This is the culture of the congregation that may not be discussed or described directly. It may be taken for granted as just the way things are. Implicit teaching includes things like how we involve the children and youth in worship or social time, what role lay leaders play in the church's caring ministry, whether there is an aura of joy or apology around stewardship, and how we translate our values into the annual operating budget. Newcomers are more likely to notice these things. But for people who have been around for a while, the implicit curriculum is just the water we swim in. And actually, I was thinking earlier that these lovely little place settings of the people that represent the diversity of the church that the children created that we've placed in along the windows are kind of part of our implicit curriculum, communicating something about our embrace of all the people in our community, including the creativity of our children. Last, we have the null curriculum. Paradoxically, what is missing communicates significant information about the congregation. Maybe certain words or sources are avoided. Kids and newcomers learn that those things are taboo. If the music or stories come overwhelmingly from just one or two cultures, that says something about who belongs. If social concerns of the time are not acknowledged from the pulpit in a particular church or not addressed in the congregation's social action work, that would tell you something about what's important in that church. Does that make sense? So the explicit, implicit, and null curriculum. So the method is the message. The way we teach, through democracy, love, and covenant, for example, conveys the essence of who we are and are shaping one another to become. And it matters not only what we mean to teach through our written curricula, it also matters what we teach implicitly in the do's and don'ts of our culture and what is simply left out of congregational life. As Connie Goodbread summed it up, everything we do is faith formation. Everything we teach is Unitarian Universalism. The congregation is the curriculum. I believe she is right. And this means that all of us who participate in this community are both learners and teachers every time we take part in the life of this congregation. I invite you to embrace the role that you play, that each one of us plays, in one another's continued becoming. So may it be. Amen. You may rise, if you like, and join in our closing hymn, number 301, Touch the Earth, Reach the Sky.
Shores must hear his song, all the
our lives the answers show, and by our love they learn and grow. Let our love and our lives give worthy answers to those around us as we continue to learn and grow together. Amen.